don't know me, my name is Paul Summers, and I'm the director for Japan and Korea, based in Tokyo, where I've lived for the past 20 years. A very small team, so in addition to myself, we have the uber-talented Michelle Kyung, who's somewhere in the room. Please stand up. Michelle's been working for TQ for about 19 years. Yeah, you're not that ancient. And together with me in the Tokyo office, we have Shozo Shibata and Mitsue Tamura. Market performance, which team is performing better? Which country is performing better? Well, actually Korea is ahead of the curve. So most of you in the room would be aware that Korean Air resumed in April into Brisbane last year, and the opening up of the country was at a more accelerated pace than compared to Japan. So it's no surprise to see that the recovery rate from Korea into Queensland is at 76% versus 45% for Japan. In terms of OVE, we are already seeing both Korea and Japan surpass 2019 levels, and average spend and length of stay is higher for Korea versus Japan. Aviation landscape, well, it's just going insane. I think I was saying to Matt from Sunshine Coast earlier today, because I bumped into him on a Qantas flight. In January, according to JNTO, 103,000 Australians visited Japan in the month of January. But that's really weird because there's only 97,000 flights. So I don't know, maybe they're overstating it, but it is testimony to the love affair that Australians have with Japan at the moment, and it's underpinning that route success. And if we look at Korea, capacity is back to double of what it was in 2019, so it's just amazing. Insights and trends for Japan, it's all doom and gloom at the moment economically. You know, there's been a lot of self-flagellation in Japan recently because Japan used to be the third largest economy. As of January, it's now the fourth largest, overtaken by Germany. It's all because of the weak yen, okay? And there's been two quarters of negative growth, but again, it's because of the weak yen and Japanese having to deal with inflation for the first time in 4 decades, and the same cost of living pressures that Australians are under as well. So that's impacted on travel sentiment. But the fundamental drivers for people why want to travel have not changed. They're the 3 Fs, or what I call the 3 Fs. So basically it's food, to freshen up, and to find something about themselves while in the destination, or to experience something new in the destination. That has not changed. They're still reluctant to travel in a leisure sense. So group travel has already rebounded back to the level of 2019 and beyond, particularly for the southeast corner of Queensland. But those cost of living pressures are causing Japanese to be frugal. Selective luxury. They might book a 5-star accommodation property, but then they'll have some instant noodles for dinner that night. Yeah, God knows we've all done it. Booking trends, intergenerational or multi-generational travel, as Kim called it, is also a thing in Japan at the moment. So we're seeing more families travel from grandparents right down to children. And this year we have 11 long weekends in Japan. 11. No wonder they don't take annual leave. They got 11 public holidays. So 11 long weekends rather. Last year there was only 7. So there's more opportunity for short breaks. And as I said, group travel is definitely on the rebound. Korea, it's a similar situation economically, but in terms of appetite for travel, they are streaks ahead of the Japanese. So they're very resilient. They do have some concerns around value for money, and there is a shift to premiumization at the moment, but boy, do they love overseas travel. I live in Japan, and last year, 21 million Koreans out of a population of 52 left the country, okay? That's huge. of those 21 million, 1/3 or 7 million went to Japan. Okay, not just because it's close, but because it's value for money. Okay, so as we know, the yen has dropped in value versus the greenback, but it's also dropped in value versus the won. So Koreans are just loving going to Japan and buying up big. We're seeing the same trend for a higher average spend, longer stays, a big shift to OTA platforms. Naver is being used to book accommodation. Naver is like the Korean version of Google. So we're seeing that same e-connect trend as well, plus a shift to premium. The distribution landscape. On the left-hand side, we've got our aviation players. Jetstar has the largest number of seats from Japan in Korea into this state at the moment. Qantas have boosted their frequency from Haneda. They shifted across to Narita into Brisbane. So that was a constraint on capacity from Japan for a while into Queensland. That is now a daily service. We have Jetstar daily into Brisbane as well, 14 services a week. Korean Air is daily at the moment, and I just want to commend Michelle again because she has a fabulous relationship with Korean Air. And so even though they are daily at the moment during the Northern Winter schedule, they will revert back to 4 services from April. She has milked that relationship to get milked. Soy milk? I'm not sure. But she's milked that relationship to get, 3,000 passengers confirmed during that daily service. So that's incredible. And we also have Virgin, of course, flying from Haneda into Cairns, and we do support Singapore Airlines. Not with hard cash, although we do have a loyalty program at the moment in Korea, but we do support them with a lot of shoe leather and trade engagement. The distribution partners in both Korea and Japan have not changed too much. So we have Hana Tour up the top there. They're still the #1 supplier of business into Queensland. We have Yellow Balloon or YB Tour. We have Online Tour. We have Very Good Tour. But we also have a lot of new OTA players. KK Day is a very important attraction OTA in Korea, as well as My Real Trip, plus global players like Trip.com and Expedia. Expedia is the 5th largest source of business into Australia from Japan now. Okay? So if you're not in bed with Expedia, sort it out. That's a bit provocative, isn't it? Sorry. Also, HIS are going gangbusters into Queensland, okay? Doing really well for the Gold Coast, doing really well for Cairns and also Brisbane. JTB, not so much. JTB have come back in terms of groups, but their leisure sector is still nowhere near as robust as it was in 2019, but they will improve this year. Our aviation programs, briefly, at the moment we have 12 different KDP programs with Qantas, supporting that Narita to Brisbane route. And we also have 5 KDP campaigns with Jetstar on the Kicks Brisbane route. So that's a total of 7,000 passengers. And that will continue to run through until the end of June and beyond. And this is just an example of the partnership we have with Jetstar. So this is for Narita Cairns, Kicks Cairns, as well as Kicks Brisbane. And I don't want to give you absolute figures because they're probably commercial in confidence, but you can see that the percentage versus the media plan is very good. This is a 5-month media plan together with Jetstar, so using their branding to drive a conversion outcome, but the results so far are very good. Key topics and trends from Japan. Well, you'll be hearing a lot more about Osaka, and the reason for that is not because of the brand new flight that Jetstar has put on from the 2nd of February, which has a load factor of 90% in its first month, allegedly, but because Osaka is going through a bit of a boom at the moment ahead of the World Expo next year, which starts in April. So it's quite cashed up at the moment. It's a very large area. It's the second biggest economic powerhouse in Japan, and we will see more group travel, more incentive travel, more leisure travel coming from Osaka into Queensland. Expedia, as I said before, huge player. The CEO of Expedia was in Tokyo 2 weeks ago, and he said that they're going to invest more in marketing the platform in Japan. So that's for an outbound audience. So they want more Japanese consumers to be using Expedia. JTB, well, JTB hopefully will get there together. And group-wise, as I said, they're back, but what's happened with JTB is they have not been able to shift from their previous model, okay? So they were using a paper brochure. It was being distributed through bricks and mortar outlets. Now they've gone online, dynamic packaging. No one wants to give them static rates. It's all been a bit of a kerfuffle, but they are sorting it out. SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. If you don't know what they are, please Google or talk to a friend. But this is one of the main drivers of educational travel into Southeast Queensland at the moment. And two experiential themes to share with you. One is all-inclusive. Japanese are big on all-inclusive accommodation packages and attractions at the moment. And immersion. Immersion is the new black. So anything that is immersive experience has real resonance. And I just noticed there's a new immersive experience about to open up at the Museum of Brisbane. This is an example of what we're doing with Qantas. This is an always-on program that we have at the moment, which has been supported by 2 waves of out-of-home advertising. So the first was in December last year, and the second one is happening next week in Shibuya Station. Our aviation program in Korea is continuing along marvellously. We have 13 different campaigns with Korean Air presently, and 7 that have just completed with Jetstar, home shopping promotions predominantly, and phase 2 of our promotion with Korean Air will begin in June. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, but the home shopping campaigns that we did with Jetstar contributed over 3,000 bookings in total. So that passenger target, done and dusted. And I've got 2 minutes left. Key activity. We have done a lot of trade for mills with both KE and Jetstar, and press tours, KOL visits, which you've supported, and I must acknowledge the support of BETA as well, so thank you very much. But this is just an example of what we've delivered in the last couple of weeks. So looking forward, we are continuing with our cooperative relationship with KE, with Korean Air. We have numerous campaigns supporting them and also Jetstar in market, and that will continue right through to the end of this calendar year. The cooperative campaign that we have, or the partnership that we have with Qantas will continue. It's very strong. We have a very good relationship with them in market, and the same for Jetstar. So I'll encourage you to download these partnership slides from the corporate section of Queensland.com. They're very, very busy. So rather than me go through them line by line, please download them and make sure you peruse them at your leisure. Any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or Michelle.